Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy, the show that talks 100% LA Galaxy soccer. We're glad you could join us. Now it's time to sit back and relax as your hosts navigate through the twisting, turning, but never boring world of the five-time MLS Cup champion, LA Galaxy.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Coming to you from COG Studios live on Thursday night, June 20th. The LA Galaxy coming off a 4-0 loss to the Portland Timbers in the U.S. Open Cup. That will dominate most of our discussion here starting out the show. A lot of different angles to cover, a lot of things to get into regarding that particular game. We're also going to get you ready for the return of MLS action. That's right, the Galaxy could still be missing 4 international players, but that doesn't mean that MLS wants to stop playing, because why would you do that? All right, we're going to talk about that FC Cincinnati game and why the Galaxy should probably win it. So lots of things to discuss there, get some news, possibly get some of your calls and your questions as well. So a very busy show getting ready to rock and roll. All right, if you've missed him, he's back once again. He's been a little MIA. Not really. You've been like back and forth and all sorts of stuff in between. It's Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira. He's back. Yeah, you're here.
I was going to say, I'm back-to-back weeks here. They're going to get sick of me,
Nah.
And we're going to need Michael Araujo to cut a new intro if I keep coming back.
Yeah.
Back-to-back weeks. I need to, what's the saying? Distance makes the heart grow fonder. I maybe need to take a few weeks off, but
maybe that's how it works.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say you were really reaching when you were like, hey, maybe Mike Araujo would have to do an intro. That was fun for you.
Listen, beggars can't be choosers. I got to just spell it out there. Be specific.
All right.
Speak it into existence.
All right, I understand. Well, if you're here for the live show, welcome aboard. The LA Galaxy losing 4-0 to the Portland Timbers in a game that somebody in this room may have warned you about on Monday and told you kind of what to expect from the lineup, but apparently most of y'all weren't paying attention. Because the Galaxy did almost exactly what I said they were going to do, which was they were going to play a mostly, you can't call it reserves because it wasn't reserves.
Yeah.
But it was a B- C+ team.
It was a depth lineup. It was a test your depth lineup.
Depth.
Because how deep can it go? How deep is this LA Galaxy pool? And we found out pretty quickly, kiddie pool.
I was going to say, you can get your ankle wet.
Yeah,
That's about
it.
it.
You can get this one at Walmart for $19.99. That's the type of pool, the depth this pool has.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think it was, that shouldn't be a shock. Again, should not be a shock to anybody.
And again, you're taking your victory lap. You warned us.
I did.
We gave both perspectives on how you might want to prioritize this and the reasons why you could prioritize it, given that you're playing a last place team the following days. But once it was decided that Zlatan's not going to play in it, you knew that this was not going to be a marquee lineup, and that's exactly what happened. And the results matched the lineup.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but did they? I mean, for
okay.
me, I'll tell you right now. Let's go over the lineup.
Let's
first.
jump right into
it. Let's dive in.
It's like we're here to recap this U.S. Open Cup.
It's
disaster.
like it was on the show notes.
Yeah. What a difference a week makes.
I was going to say it's like we didn't discuss this beforehand. Whenever it came to what we wanted to sort of say and have like little arguments and meltdowns before we even started the show. The LA Galaxy started a starting lineup that included Matt Lampson, his first I think game in goal for the Galaxy that we.
Well, he played. I think he played a preseason game, but yeah, I think as far as MLS play, U.S. Open Cup play, this is his first. Yeah. Regular first team minutes.
First team minutes.
Careful how you want to say that.
In the Open Cup. Tomas Hilliard-Arce, you had Dave Romney, you had Dan Stairs in there, you had Didi Traore, you had Perry Kitchen, Servando Carrasco, Juninho, Efrain Alvarez, Ethan Zubak, and of course Emmanuel Boateng. So that was sort of the lineup. They were lined up in a 4-3-3. There was only one regular starter. Only one. You can argue that some of these guys are starters right now, but they're not first choice starters. They're starting for other things. But the only starter, Dan Stairs.
Dan Stairs. Solid Dan Stairs.
Yeah, that's it. And that's it.
And he's one that doesn't look worse for the wear for getting those extra minutes, and I don't think Saturday we'll see much of a difference. But you look at the other pieces, and I said when they put this lineup out, the score kind of followed what was to be expected. I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but at the same time, when you look at these guys, Zubak, Efrain, Boateng, Carrasco, Kitchen, these are all first-team players. They called up Brian Olowski, but he didn't get minutes. These are all, these are not G2 players. Yes, some of these guys are spending time down at G2, but these are supposed to be your depth pieces that you can rely on. So I don't know that you could really say, they put a C lineup in, because these are your bench players. And
there are a lot of third stringers, though,
because of injuries, international break, all that comes into play. But at the same time, if these guys have a senior roster spot, you should be able to lean on them, and should being the key word there.
Well, this lineup was so out there, and I had some inclination that perhaps it might be an out there lineup that I actually said on Twitter, and I put it out there. I said, if you can guess the lineup, get all 11 players, I will give you four Galaxy tickets of your choice of game. The LAFC game was
on the table.
If they wanted that game, they were going to get it.
Wow.
But I also knew that
it was impossible,
that nobody was going to get it.
Yeah, U.S. Open Cup game and an MLS game right after. There was no way you were going to nail this.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the biggest mistakes that people had, there were two really big ones that sort of everybody had. One was putting David Bingham in goal. Right?
Okay, well, I could have seen that though,
and it would have made sense, but
it's not illogical. So don't make fun of your listeners just yet. Josh.
No, but I'm telling you that like that was like the big mistake,
okay.
Right? That was one of them was putting David Bingham in goal, and the other one was Fabio Alvarez. Everybody had Fabio playing in the center,
and that partially was probably due to him playing in the previous Open Cup game and the fact that he's relatively new, that you're still going to give him those minutes. So I can see the argument for it. If you had Zlatan in there, you weren't listening.
Yeah, nobody. I was going to say, if you put Zlatan in there, you basically stab me in the heart.
Yeah, you're saying I don't listen to the show. I just engage on Twitter.
I just talk to
which you're not listening now anyway. So we're going to speak ill of you all we want.
Well, yeah, we can talk behind your back. You don't listen to the show. You think Zlatan Ibrahimovic is playing in this game. So anyway, so that's the starting lineup. You look at the bench. There were two G2 guys, but they didn't play. So again, you're
Cello and Ilowski, and we called it earlier in the week with the training photos. You saw Ilowski training, and you said, okay, well, he's definitely if this, and no offense to Brian Ilowski, if you're one of the ones who doesn't listen but engages on Twitter, whatever it is, no offense to you, but if you saw him in the training grounds, you knew this was going to be
a different lineup,
a unique lineup. Yeah, I'm going to be careful with my words here. Be polite. It was going to be a unique lineup.
Ilowski was on there, but be honest, your real reaction when you saw the photo was
I googled who was number 70. Yeah,
who's playing? Who's
I 100% had to Google it, but I figured it out.
Yeah, you did quickly, and you texted me and let me know about it. So I appreciate that. Anyway, so that was the starting lineup. Again, a 4-3-3. There are, if you look at the back line, technically speaking, you have three guys who can start for the LA Galaxy. Hilliard Arce is probably the one guy out there who you're sort of like, I don't know if that's really his position. And it turned out, it turned out not to be his position. But there are no good players on this field. I had zero. People were asking
yesterday. Yeah, it was a poor performance all the way around.
There was nothing. Yeah. If there were bright spots, the bright spot that I picked from this particular game, if you wanted to know the one bright spot I was able to glean from this, is that Portland scored 3 goals in 10 minutes in the first half and allowed me to start writing my recap before the first half was even over. And therefore, I was done with my recap after about 30 minutes after the game.
That fourth goal probably messed you up, though.
It did. I had to add another paragraph. I did swear at the television whenever they scored the fourth goal.
Yeah, my positive that I took away from this is today. It's the fact that it's over and we can move on and move forward.
Yeah, but I mean, that would be nice in a real world. But you see, there's a lot to break down in this because whether or not the Galaxy, and clearly Guillermo signaled early in the week on Monday, whenever he said he wasn't starting Zlatan, and whenever he said this was a chance to look at some of the younger kids, he had signaled already that the focus was going to be on Saturday's game coming up against FC Cincinnati, the short break, the fact that the travel schedule is ridiculous. I went over that on Monday. The travel schedule basically went fly up to Portland on Tuesday, play a game on Wednesday, fly back on Thursday, on Friday, fly out to Cincinnati, play a game on Saturday in Cincinnati, and fly back on Sunday. Now, the only way that really makes sense is if you have more or less two different teams doing that.
If you have people who are literally not traveling, you have people who are going to be playing in the Cincinnati game who are just not going to take the flight and they're going to rest their bodies and take what they need, and they're not even going to make the trip. And I think we saw that with the lineup that they took.
You did, and there are definitely people, I think, Carrasco was...
Carrasco played.
Sorry, not Corona. The other guy.
Same guy. Starts with a C. A lot of A's, a lot of C's. I know, it's confusing for you.
Corona didn't travel. Zlatan didn't travel. I was actually surprised to see Pontius come into this game. I was surprised to see Polenta, but it makes sense. You're also trying to save. I think there's a couple guys on this field, in fact, more than a couple, that are going to have to double up and actually start this next game.
Well, just by virtue of...
You have no more players.
You don't have... There's no more. We talked about the kiddie pool. There's nowhere else to dig. These are the players that you have to use.
Yeah, Boateng is probably one of those players. Kitchen is probably one of those players. Steres is definitely one of those players. Depending on what lineup they go in the back, you could see Romney also be on the bench, that type of thing. So I mean,
and also I think we're more likely to see Araujo And we'll talk
Yeah.
about
We'll
talk about lineups.
We can talk about that
when we
in
preview.
Cincinnati. But I mean, so these were my notes that I sort of took away on some of this stuff. So we can just go down some of this. You can tell me what you think, and we'll sort of keep going. GBS clearly prioritized the game on Saturday. There's no doubt about that. You can see it in the way he did it. Does that mean he didn't take the Open Cup seriously?
See, and this is where
Loaded question.
it's a very loaded question. Yes, it does mean that he didn't take it seriously.
Right.
And that's the hard truth. But the reason why this is a loaded question is because I can push back on that, because I think there are some hard truths that we can glean from this too, is based on what we saw, the Galaxy doesn't have the roster depth to make a deep run. And so I think the hard truth is that the LA Galaxy might not be MLS Cup contenders. So
Right.
I understand you want to value that, and that's where you want to, put your eggs in that basket. But realistically, I mean, are they really going to get it done? And I don't know if that's blasphemy to mention on the show. We have a very good starting 11, but once you get into the playoff schedule this year is condensed. It's 22 days.
Every game,
every game
everything is condensed
but
this year.
It's 22 days. It will require 4 games. So if we're saying, and we can't have a 4-game stretch where we put it all together,
Right.
then what's the point? Because if we're going to get to the MLS Cup playoffs and we can't put a 4-game stretch in 3 weeks, then we're not going to say, at the end of MLS Cup, well, it was their 4th game in 22 days. That's why they lost, because they had tired legs. Every other team is kind of going through this. So that's where my part of it says you maybe could have, prioritized this a little bit better, especially given how FC Cincinnati is performing.
Mm-hmm.
But again, GBS signaled that this was going to be the way he was going to handle it. And so if you're throwing your arms up in the air right now, I think hold off, because if they win at FC Cincinnati, then it's mission accomplished.
Right.
It's exactly what GBS wanted. He was prioritizing that game. If they take away 3 points, then it's done. But if they lose, or even if they draw, then I think it's a failure, because then you basically waved the white flag at the U.S. Open Cup and said we're throwing this one away if something magical happens. And during the first 15 minutes, I almost fooled myself in thinking maybe there's something here. Boateng had a chance. Maybe they can squeak out and defend. But if they draw or if they lose in Cincinnati, that's where you can really wave your hands and shake your fists, because then they flamed out of the Open Cup and they dropped points in league play. And so that's a disaster. That's a failure of this week if it happens. But if he wins at Cincinnati, that's what the mission he went out to set. And so you can't get mad at him, because if that was his goal, that's what he did. You can have your thoughts. And again, I gave my kind of reasoning on why.
Wow, way to give everybody like an out. Like, you can think that. Just stand up and say
No.
he could have done it.
He could have done it. I think he should have done it, especially where the Galaxy are sitting. They're sitting in second place. They're not going to take the first place. They're not going to get a first round bye. And I don't think they're going to drop, to 6th or 7th.
Right.
So if they dropped points away at Cincinnati, it's not going to kill them at this point in the season. And because of how well they've performed earlier in the year, I think the Cincinnati game could have been a throwaway game.
Well, here again, you look at the lineups, and Portland was able to play more of a first-team starting lineup. And the reason they were able to do that, they had a home game this weekend. They didn't travel as much, but they also got to rest some people. So
Valeri didn't play.
Yeah, Valeri didn't play.
But you saw a lot of familiar faces. You saw a lot of first-team guys for Portland.
Galaxy did a great job in the first 20 minutes. We talked about that. And really, it's the failure, in my mind, it's the failure of Emmanuel Boateng and Efrain Alvarez that really killed this LA Galaxy team. I mean, you could have seen the LA Galaxy up 2-0 within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and that would have iced the game, and then you change your game plan, and you could hold on.
My biggest disappointments in this game, watching this lineup and certainly looking at the way the Galaxy played, were Emmanuel Boateng and Efrain Alvarez. Alvarez probably more so than anybody else on the field. He is 17 years old. 17 years old. That was his birthday.
Can't say 16 anymore as of yesterday.
That was his birthday. That was one of the poorest performances I've ever seen. And he's 17. Yeah. I understand. You're going to have ups and you're going to have downs.
Yeah. Consistency is not what you're looking for. You want to see those sparks.
What you've never seen from him is the complete inability to cross the ball, shoot the ball, or do anything with his left foot.
Yes.
The set pieces were horrible. The corner kicks were horrible. The crosses were horrible. There was no redeeming fact. If I'm Efrain Alvarez,
why don't you just drag a guy on his birthday?
I am. Jeez. I am dragging him on his birthday.
This is bullying. He's under 18. He's a minor.
If Efrain Alvarez can learn anything from that game, it's throw it away and don't ever think about it again. Because again, it's ups and downs, and you expect that. But he was put in a position to succeed, had many chances to try and succeed in that game, and had zero success in that.
Yeah, this was his moment to shine. Much like last week against an amateur opponent, you put him starting, you put him, in a home environment, and he shined. He shined in that spotlight. And again, to my point earlier, you don't expect consistency from a 17-year-old, but you want to see that spark and that thing that everyone's excited about. You didn't see one play where he said, "Wow, there's Efrain doing that Efrain thing," and he just didn't have that.
No, he killed more possession and killed more chances and killed everything that basically. I mean, the Galaxy had a bunch of corner chances early in the game.
Yeah.
They had a bunch of set piece opportunities in the game. They had a bunch of crosses where they were
forward.
dangerous.
Traore was getting up there at the start of the game.
I mean, and we can continue the disappointment train with Traore and Boateng. So Boateng, I mean, listen, all the things that we said about Alvarez, which is you don't expect consistency and you don't do that. You don't expect it from Emmanuel Boateng, but only because he's never shown you that.
Well, that's the point I was going to make. Is Efrain, you assume that's going to progress at some point. Boateng, and again, man, this is going to be a negative show. We're just going to be rude here. But Boateng, I'm not going to say he's regressed, but he hasn't progressed.
No.
And at 25 years old, this is where you're supposed to be figuring it out, and it just doesn't seem like he's figured it out. In years past, we say, okay, he's got the speed. If he could put it together with some of these crosses and get some shooting on target, then he's going to be a piece that the Galaxy are really going to treasure. But he just hasn't put it together, and there's a reason why he's not a regular starter on this team. It's because he hasn't progressed.
Yeah. And
you would hope to see some progression, but you haven't seen it. He seems stagnant for the last 2 to 3 seasons. So he's not the player we hoped he would be.
And there's all that you see it on Twitter, and everybody said it. And I think Siggy Schmidt said it last year, right?
Okay.
Which is if Boateng could finish, he wouldn't be playing in Major League Soccer, right?
That is very true.
And
there'd
get
be
that.
a German team or someone going after him.
That's why, in my mind, Alvarez is still the biggest disappointment because the ceiling is so much higher with him, and he's so much better. And you've seen his quality. We've seen it.
The ceiling is there,
right?
But I don't think you could expect him to hit that ceiling, for 90 minutes every game.
I don't think he needed to hit it for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
He needed it for about 10 minutes in this game, and he could have had 2 or 3 goals, and the Galaxy could have scored.
And that's fair. That's a fair criticism.
Boateng, there was nothing there. Zubac, nothing. Absolutely nothing. Where was? I mean,
that scares me a little bit. Again, just because it's his first season, it feels like a Jack McBean 2.0, where you have your quadruple A, little too good for your Los Dos, but maybe
do you feel
not,
that way about him at Los Dos, though?
I haven't seen. No, he's not tearing it up at Los Dos. So, but where my point being that if you called him up and you have the expectations, you don't want to crush someone, and I think that's kind of what happened with McBean. He got brought up and he kind of was never able to get the feet going, and it kind of crushed his confidence. And you don't want to do that to Zubac, to a young player who you hope has a high ceiling and a high future, but I didn't see it yesterday from him as well.
Yeah, a loan to an English, third-tier English team.
Weren't they a championship team?
I don't think they were championship. No, they were like one more. They were League One.
Yeah, but still.
But
League One sounds right.
That was going basically.
We're going to Google that.
That was basically going through,
coaching changes,
everything. That was a smart move. It should have been a good move for him, because if it was a stable place for him to play, that was where you could have seen him. But you also pulled him while he was getting ready to win a Golden Boot in USL, and the kid still ended up finishing. So
I think that's the question. Do you value the USL Golden Boot?
Yeah.
Should the Galaxy?
You do in a confidence way, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you win it, that's sidetrack. Servando Carrasco, Perry Kitchen. Listen, that has not worked. It has never worked. It wasn't going to work in this game, and it continues. That's the biggest deal. Again, you notice the drop off from Jonathan Dos Santos. Whenever you have to go to Perry Kitchen, that's one bit. If Jonathan and Perry Kitchen are playing together, it's okay because Jonathan is still there.
I'll even say Corona and Kitchen.
That's fine.
It's doable, and if you have Favio up front, then you don't have to worry about the offensive part of it. But Kitchen, Carrasco, and Juninho, we haven't mentioned Juninho yet. That's just if that's your engine, then you're going to lose 4-0.
Can we now? I mean, I know what I've been saying it, and I'm trying to be.
It's like Boateng. Yeah, we don't want to say it
nicely this whole time. Is why isn't Juninho playing? Why isn't Juninho playing?
Why. Yeah.
You know why he's not playing, and this was just stop asking for him to play. All right,
it's because we like him. We're a sentimental bunch.
Sentimental, but I understand. You want the Juninho of old is dead. Okay, that guy doesn't exist anymore. The guy has been injured. He doesn't get that much playing time. I don't think even with playing time, he's not going to be quick. He's slower. His passing isn't as sharp. Maybe that increases with playing time.
That's part of it.
But you don't have the time to invest in that.
That's the thing. If you're bringing in a player who's further along in his career, again, 30-year-old Juninho, not 35-year-old Juninho,
he looks 40.
You expect, okay, what you give up in speed, you're going to make make up with, some passing, some dropping, some decent crosses, but he wasn't doing that. And that's the disappointing part. If he's eating a roster spot and the things you expect from a veteran and experienced player, he wasn't doing those things as well.
And then Dave Romney went and broke his streak, which is you play Dave Romney and you get a shutout, and that didn't happen.
And he runs into Matt Lamps. It was a disaster.
That was a clown show.
Yeah, the more you think about it, it was really a shit.
Guillermo went a little hard at that in the post game too as well. We didn't see the post game notes until the next morning. I don't know if they just didn't send them out or they got lost or however it was, but
no one wanted the post game notes last night.
I didn't get them until 8 a.m. on Thursday morning, basically, to see like what GBS had said, and that's why my recap doesn't include any quotes and that type of thing. Shout out, by the way, to Brittany Campbell, our photographer, one of our photographers, because we actually have two with Steve Carrillo. But Brittany Campbell actually went up to this game and shot that game.
Nice.
So that was kind of fun, and she did a great job up there. So we were sort of happy with that. Anyway, Dave Romney had a poor showing. Dan Steris wasn't great. Traore, a kid who you're expecting to see something from.
But I saw sparks from him, at least. I saw
for the first 20 minutes.
For the beginning, and then the wheels fell off.
And then it went away.
Yeah.
And that's with him, and my wife watched this game with me, which
Why would
never
you do
happens.
That? Why would you make her watch the U.S. Open Cup? That's not how you introduce
I didn't make
someone.
her watch anything. I was like, the TV's going to be mine, and you're still in the room. You can do whatever you want. And she's like, I'll just read on my phone. Cool, whatever. Yeah. And then she sat there, and she said, wow. She goes, it's good to know that whenever I watch a game that I haven't watched in a really long time and they lose, it still ticks me off, right? And I'm like, there's my wife.
There
All
you
right,
go.
Good job.
Glad she cares.
She was on top of it. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm sitting there like trying to talk up Traore. I'm like, oh man, this kid is really good. And then she's like, what's wrong with him? And I'm like, I don't know.
Why does he keep falling?
I really like him. I'm like giving her background on players. I'm like, it's just not working tonight. Tonight it's not happening. And really, you look at that. If you take away the 10 minutes in the first half where Portland scored all of their goals, and that would be nice. You could basically do that.
Yeah. Can we do that?
The Galaxy lose this game 1-0. Because they really did. One, Portland took their foot off the gas. Two, the Galaxy subbed in a better lineup.
Yeah.
They finished the game with a better lineup than they started with. So all of this, it would have worked better. I thought they played better in the second half, but you look at the overall possession, Galaxy outpossessed 64
But
to
that's
36.
difficult to say too, because just like you said, how much of that is them playing better in the second half and is Portland not pressing?
Yeah.
Because that's part of it as well.
Yeah.
So you can't, I understand you want to say they played better, and technically they did play better, but at the same time, this wasn't the same. Portland didn't have the same vigor moving forward as they did in the first half.
Vigor, good word.
Thank you. Bonus points for that?
No. Audi Index points? Absolutely. 19-7 total in shots for Timbers, so it was a deluge on goal there for a while.
Oh, deluge. I see what you're doing. It's on.
That's on. Now we're rolling. 6-4 on target, though. Again, the Galaxy had chances. They did not capitalize on their chances, if you look at that. Those are sort of the big things that stick out to me. The passing was 500 and almost 570 passes for Portland, 323 total passes for the LA Galaxy. The passing accuracy was bad, 74% to 86%. Possession, 64% to 36%. We talked about the duels being won. The Galaxy didn't do horrible, 55 to 42 in that. Tackles won, though, 13 to 8. The saves were almost the same. There was a lot of things in this that were actually pretty equal whenever you look at it, which is surprising when you see the game, but there's nothing equal about that game.
And then you saw the way the goals occurred. You could say the saves were the same, and some of those you don't want to blame Lamson for them, but at the same time, it feels like some of this was preventable. It seemed like there were mistakes that cost him rather than Portland really, really blowing the doors off him. And once the wheels fell off for the Galaxy, they really fell off. But you feel like this was you give Portland credit where credit's due because they capitalized. They did what they needed to do. But at the same time, the Galaxy gave up a lot on this. They made the mistakes that turned the game over.
So there's lots of arguments out there, and even in the chat room I saw it earlier, is like, hey, how come, St. Louis FC beat FC Cincinnati, and how come New Mexico United, they have a lot of travel, and they're playing things, and they beat FC Dallas? How come Minnesota played their starters in Houston and beat Houston 3-2? Well, the lower level teams is a pretty easy answer, which is their priorities are not the same.
This is their number one. So New Mexico FC isn't going to rest their starters for U.S. Open Cup game. This is their season. This is what they're playing for.
Yes.
And so, of course, they're going to go all out. And I think that you're going to see these lower level teams go hard in these games. And maybe that's where they hope to catch them, as, in FC Cincinnati takes the foot off the brake for a little bit in the waning minutes. And then, St. Louis puts it in. And
right now I might also argue that St. Louis FC is a better team than FC Cincinnati.
That's a good argument. You might win that one.
That's a good one.
But that's their season, where MLS teams, it might not necessarily be that way. And same with Minnesota United. Maybe they did swallow that hard truth.
No.
Nope.
No, there is a reason for Minnesota
all right,
United.
Then tell me that. Again, I don't follow corner of the Minnesota United. So I'm all out.
It's a horrible show. Minnesota United doesn't have a game this weekend.
Well, there you go.
They were basically in the same position. This is the other criticism I hear. The LA Galaxy started a better lineup against an amateur team than they did against a professional MLS team. Can you hear the sarcasm in the voice? I literally last night I had to turn Twitter off because y'all were arguing so much stupidity I couldn't handle it.
Wow.
Yes.
You're coming at everybody. Efrain, Didi, Ima, everybody. Wow.
So I mean, yeah. When the Galaxy in a week break where they have no games, right? They can play a
Their
lineup.
next game wasn't potentially until
this game. Yeah, this game. So that's why they played a better lineup against Orange when they had, and by the way, back-to-back turf games.
And it was at home.
And it was at home.
Last week's game.
If this game is played at home against Portland, it's a different lineup.
Yeah, you may see. Yeah,
it's a different lineup, and the Galaxy probably play more first team. And you probably go a little bit. You say, okay, how much can I sort of lean off the FC Cincinnati? And it's something that I've talked about over and over again. The more home games you get, the better success you have in the U.S. Open Cup. Saw the draw.
I feel like you talked about this.
Yes, I did.
Did you talk about this?
You saw the draw. The Galaxy were going to have to probably go to LAFC. Because I don't think they've started playing yet. They're going to get...
If it's an 8 o'clock kickoff like it was yesterday, then TBD.
Yeah.
But when you're listening to this on Friday morning, you know how that one ended.
This is LAFC is probably going to beat San Jose.
Because they're at home.
They're at home.
LAFC's at home.
And they're a better team. I don't know.
They're taking it seriously.
I'm sure Galaxy fans are probably hoping an asteroid hits that particular stadium at this point. But
listen, I'm not going to say we're planning something. I'm just saying... I got an alibi. I'm in studio.
I'm on camera. I mean, this was an easy understanding of why the Galaxy prioritized things and why they did what they did. You should actually be happy that you saw this from Guillermo Barros Schelotto, and I'll tell you why. Okay. Well, because it was a learning moment. It was a learning moment here, and the bottom line is he learned, because there was a similar situation earlier this year, and you all remember it. It's whenever the LA Galaxy had to go to Columbus and play Columbus and then come home and play New York City FC. What happened?
He went hard for the Columbus game.
And they lost.
And then when they came home,
they were tired and couldn't. Yeah. They played it again against New York City, and they lost.
So now, he changed his tactics.
He understood the travel. Yeah. He understood what was going on. And by the way, that's a less strenuous travel up to Portland this time.
Yes.
Because it's in the same time zone.
But to his credit, he also wasn't missing anyone on international duty. So that
6 players whenever you realize that you have international duty and 2 injuries with Ramon Alessandrini and Sebastian Lletget. So you're missing 6 starters.
Well, I would take out Alessandrini because he was gone for that Columbus game.
I agree. But if you're looking at this as it is, there are 6 starters that were not available for this game to even begin with, which is why you eventually go into the third string guys. I mean, that's why you get deep into the depth on this one. Okay, so
deep into the depth.
Yeah, it wasn't that's an Adele song.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure she's gonna write it in this next one. GBS had that learning moment. The other thing I'll point out too is that winning the U.S. Open Cup, while LA Galaxy fans think it matters to them, I don't think it really matters to them.
It matters to them or to the club in general?
I think to the fans. I don't think it really matters. But the reason that it matters right now, and the reason why it matters more than anything else, is because the Galaxy haven't won a trophy since 2014. Yeah. That's why it matters a lot right now.
Way back to 2014.
Way back. It was a long time ago.
When you use your perspective and think about all the other teams that have been in the league and how long, come on, it's been since 2014. But the only thing where it feels a little bit like sour grapes, and I went through this with the Nations League, the UEFA Nations League. Portugal was in it. England was in it, the Netherlands and Switzerland. And so everyone was ramped up in England saying we could win a trophy. And the second England was out, these are meaningless friendlies. It doesn't mean anything.
There is.
And so when you see people say, oh, well, we're out. This didn't mean anything. It doesn't matter if we win the U.S. Open Cup. When you're in a competition, you want to come out on top.
Right. But here's my argument, right? And people say it's the easiest way to get to the CONCACAF Champions League, which is a lie. It's not. Being a Canadian team is the easiest way to get into the CONCACAF Champions League.
Well, how do we get? I don't know how you do that. Do we need a visa there?
But this is why it matters, and this is why you want, because I mean, silverware has always mattered to LA Galaxy fans, right? And
it matters to any professional team.
It does, but especially the Galaxy fans. You want to keep racking it up. You don't want anybody else to get anything. I mean, listen, Seattle hung their entire existence on the U.S. Open Cup for how many years because they couldn't beat the LA Galaxy.
Supporter shields and U.S. Open Cups. Yeah, they had plenty of those.
And the most successful coach in LA Galaxy history, Bruce Arena, never won a single U.S. Open Cup, but he was winning MLS Cups.
And if you're doing one and not the other, but that's the thing. Are they gonna? If they win an MLS Cup, then no one's gonna remember this. But I just don't know if that's in the cards for the Galaxy this season. And the roster depth that we saw on display shows that if we're gonna need to put 4 games in a row in a short amount of time, I don't know that we have it. And that's what I learned from this stretch for me.
Well, Isaac is asking, and it's a great question because this is the one that everybody's talking, because with the Leagues Cup coming up and Tijuana coming to the Home Depot Center.
Oh, wow! You went even further back.
I skipped
deep into the depths.
Dignity Health Sports Park. That's an Adele song. I swear to God. He's asking, how seriously are they going to take that Leagues Cup game? And I said, if we talked about this,
you're going to see the same lineup or similar. Worse. You're worse. Yeah, this is Brian Ulowski's moment. That's where he's going to shine. I think especially coming off of, it's going to be a game post El Tráfico, pre going up to Portland again. I think you're definitely going to be seeing a reduced lineup. And then I don't know how the format's going to work about subs, if it's more like a friendly where they allow more than 3. You're
allowed 11.
But if it's one of those, then maybe you see like a hockey line substitution. But definitely, I don't think people who are saying that, oh, well, you're definitely going to put your starters in that game, aren't you? I don't think they are. They won't. This U.S. Open Cup experiment, you're going to see the same thing for the Leagues Cup. And if you see otherwise, it'd be shocking to me.
Before we sort of wrap this up, I got a couple more things I want to touch on, but there's another part of this that, let's pretend for a second the LA Galaxy went up there and played their starters and they won that game.
Okay.
All right.
I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, because we already talked about it.
Because scheduling's your favorite thing.
Scheduling, it is. It's horrible right now.
Okay.
And it's going to be horrible for everybody, and that's sort of one of my next points as well. But if the LA Galaxy would have won, and then they would play the winner of either LAFC or San Jose. Okay. So, and they would have had to go to either of those. I think if you're the Galaxy, hopefully it would be LAFC because it's closer and it wouldn't disrupt as much, but it's still going to disrupt everything. That game would have been played on either July 10th, which probably wouldn't have happened. It actually would have probably been played on July 9th. So let's pretend for a second it's on July 9th. So here's then your schedule coming up very quickly and rapidly. So you play June 22nd against FC Cincinnati. You get a full week off, which is good, and that's nice. Yep. Woohoo, there you go. You would then play at San Jose at Stanford Stadium on Saturday, June 9th. You're home Thursday. June 29th. Yeah, June 29th, sorry. Thursday, July 4th, you're home, host Toronto FC. There would have been a game on the 9th, which is what day is
probably a Wednesday or
a Tuesday. It would have had to have been a Tuesday.
Because of the Friday game.
Because of the Friday game coming up. So you would have played on a Tuesday at that game. So it would have been Thursday, July 4th, and then Tuesday, July 9th, and then Friday, July 12th, and then Friday, July 19th.
And if you hear the microphones, that's Josh pounding on the table as he's saying.
I am. I'm getting there pretty good. So you would have gotten, basically, and then Friday, July 19th.
Away at Portland.
And then there would have been a Tuesday.
No, that's El Tráfico.
Yeah, that's El Tráfico. And then there would have been a Tuesday, July 23rd game because of the Leagues Cup. And then there would have been a Saturday, July 27th game in Portland. So when you look at this, when you watch what was happening, don't think that Guillermo didn't look at that schedule. Don't think the LA Galaxy front office didn't look at that schedule and say,
thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, nightmare. We're already in the Leagues Cup, and that was a horrible decision, whoever made that.
Or, maybe it wasn't a decision. Maybe it was a mandate further down. Yeah,
I don't know, man.
But I agree. If you keep winning, it keeps getting more and more difficult. So if you want to take that as a positive, I didn't like this party's dead anyway.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I'm glad the police broke it up. And there's another thing. I mean, the schedule that we just talked about is condensed, whether you add the Open Cup in there or not. And that's what you're about to see from Major League Soccer. It's something that nobody has ever seen before. I haven't seen it. Eric hasn't seen it. No fans have ever seen it. You have never seen this before, this congestion, and it's going to happen to every single team. And that means that it's going to be very difficult to predict what the second half of this season is going to look like. Maybe a team that goes 500 in the second half of the season ends up winning the dang thing.
Well, and you look at the Portland Timbers. Portland is in last place in the Western Conference, but you think about all the away games that they had, and maybe with this condensed schedule, they're going to have a lot of home games, and that may play in their favor. And so you might see them crawl out of the bottom of the Western Conference and get a playoff spot and go on a run much like they did last season. So you make a good point about this being this new territory. And so usually at this point of the season, teams are who they are and you know where they stand. But now with internationals being gone and then coming back maybe tired from Copa America or the Gold Cup, that's going to add tired legs. Then you have the condensed schedule. So I think we are going to see some interesting games this second half, and things might get flipped. Or you might just see more of the same where, the teams who have been dominating, they sit back and they ride that out. Well, and make it work.
You're also about 19 days away from the transfer window opening, which it's sort of sneaking up on everybody because there's all these internationals. Now, I expect that July 9th is when that opens. Now, I expect that whenever the transfer window is, it's going to be slow at the beginning because everybody's coming off of international tournaments and everything else that's sort of going on. But that's sort of where that is as well. Okay, this is it. The final thing from this, and sort of the final closing moments before we tell you what GBS said after the game, is what is the real takeaway from this game from Guillermo Barros Schelotto?
It's depth of the squad. We learned when you put your depth at work, we learned what they can do, and maybe you can't rely on them in games that matter.
You hit it. I mean, that's all of the above. Now, the problem is that the depth that is there right now was created mostly by not Guillermo Barros Schelotto and Dennis DeClosa.
But if you were going to inject an Efrain, or if you were going to bring in a Zubak and say, well, this person showed in the middle of the season when we needed players, this player showed that they can provide some spark, something off the bench, and no one showed that. So you're going to see, if you don't think Schelotto was subbing earlier, you're probably not going to see a lot of subs in meaningful games come playoff time.
Let's see. If you go and look at what GBS said after the game, there were only 3 quotes, so we can read them all to you, and you'll get the full coverage there. Guillermo Barros Schelotto on how the LA Galaxy performed in the first half. He says, I think the first half of the game, very good trying to fight with Portland, but I think the game changed after the set pieces where Portland found the first goal. We got disorganized for a few minutes, and they scored again. I think after that, the game was very difficult for us because they played well. They have good players. They have good football. But I think after the third goal in the 37th minute, the game was over.
Yeah, that's fair.
Duh. Yeah. Whenever you really get to it. And then on the changes he tried to make at halftime, he said, we tried to get more organized and then we tried to score. That's the good plan. I like it.
Hold on. Let me write this down. Try to score.
The whole problem
prevent the other team from scoring.
The whole problem is that this is Guillermo talking in English. This isn't even translated from Spanish.
And again, we're not making fun of the guy because it's tough. But
when he speaks in Spanish, he's very smart, more articulate. And it's just I couldn't speak in Spanish right now, so that wouldn't happen. He said we tried to get organized and then we tried to score. This is soccer sometimes, but we gave a lot of advantage in this part of the game where Portland scored 3 times. We lost the mark in the set pieces. We couldn't kick out an easy ball on the second goal. Dave Romney. The fourth goal is again. We gave a lot of opportunity to the right back to beat us today. And then he says, I'm looking forward to MLS action against FC Cincinnati on Saturday. He goes, I expect to win that because we saved a lot of players. Oh, wait, by the way, I forgot to tell you, GBS is about to get as real as you ever heard GBS before. So
the English got a lot better for this last part.
All of a sudden, here it comes, right? He goes, and I quote, I expect to win that because we saved a lot of players for that game with Cincinnati. But we were talking about the game today, and I'm a little angry because we need to fight more. We need to have a better attitude. When you're playing for the Galaxy, you have to feel the honor to be here.
There you go. There it is. And I think that's what he learned. And that's what it says is, listen, you guys aren't regular starters. We're putting you out on the field. Show me something. And they didn't show him. And so that you can see that in the frustration with the comments. And he basically laid it out. We saved players for this FC Cincinnati game. So if they win that, you have to give him credit because that was his game plan all along.
If you look at the quarterfinal matchups outside of the Noisy Neighbors and the Smurfs, between those two, that would be the last matchup that would go against Portland, and they'll be hosting that game. But you have Orlando City hosting New York City FC, Atlanta United hosting St. Louis FC, Minnesota United hosting New Mexico United, and then whoever plays the Portland Timbers, whoever hosts the Portland Timbers between San Jose and LAFC.
The magic of the cup.
That's it. We already gave you sort of the training schedule and how it goes. There's not a lot of training going on this week. In fact, there's like no training going on this week.
It's more flying than training, really.
it'll be interesting to sort of see how that goes. And again, you continue to have call-ups with Jonathan Dos Santos, with Uriel Antuna, both of who I believe started and played in Mexico's 3-1 victory over Canada.
Yeah, I was going to say Antuna is having himself a tournament. Hat trick in the first game.
That's going to make it more difficult for the Galaxy to keep him next year.
But that's a good thing.
But it is. Yeah. When he comes back.
Well, and what are the stipulations of the loan? Do we get anything, or is it strictly a loan?
I don't think we get anything.
Okay,
I don't think the Galaxy get anything. No. No. I think it's Manchester City was like, you can have him, and we'll pay most of his salary.
And then once he tears it up in the Gold Cup, we'll make money off of him.
We'll sell him somewhere. That's really what it's going to be about. I don't think he'll ever play for Manchester City. I don't think that ever happens. But I think
never say never.
I think he can get sold to a place.
Which is, I think
maybe
that's
he gets
the goal.
sold to the Galaxy.
I think when you have it's in the cards. Although he doesn't want that. He's mentioned that earlier in the year. But I think when you go to a big club like that has insane depth, that's the goal. You get noticed by them, and then you have that tag on you. You're a Manchester City player, and that makes you a valuable asset to other clubs.
Just like the Panda's a Manchester City reporter.
Yeah, there you go.
He's just a fan. His car's blue.
That adds
it's just annoying. It's annoying.
Some allure to the Panda name.
I have not seen the last I checked for Costa Rica, Giancarlo Gonzalez hadn't played. I don't know if he played in any games that I have seen since then. Rolf Felcher, the same, had not played for Venezuela. I expected Ernesto Walker to actually play in the Panama game. I don't know if he did because I didn't get to watch that as well. So
there's a lot of soccer right now.
There's a lot going on. I'm watching more Women's World Cup than I am Gold Cup and Copa America, and maybe that's just the fact that I get to really enjoy the Women's World Cup. I don't cover the women's game, so it's like I just get to enjoy it.
Fresh take.
It's just nice and relaxing, and I get to kick my feet up, and they're really good. So all that stuff really.
That's why I'm full USA today.
Tobin Heath could probably start for the LA Galaxy right now. I'm
you're
pretty
not
sure.
wrong. She's put her in the Uriel Antuna spot.
That works for me. Make that trade happen now. All right. So that's sort of where you sit with the LA Galaxy and where you're going. As far as the injury updates that we have right now, we know Roman Alessandrini is still out until September. You're going to hear that on every show until we hear any sort of update and how it goes. Sebastian Lletget was back to training on Tuesday. He was training with the club throughout this week, but just sort of be known, we told you there wasn't a bunch of training going on. There wasn't a bunch of guys left from the travel team to sort of be training a whole bunch. So that's probably not full training, and so that's probably means unlikely for Saturday. I still am, in my mind, I'm targeting that away game at San Jose at Stanford Stadium, which makes sense because that's his hometown as well.
I was going to say, he has a knack for going to the Bay Area and making big things happen.
That's how he goes.
Just hope pray for no more injuries up there.
Yeah, we haven't seen an update on Rolf Felcher yet, who still has a leg injury of some sort, although I expect that's healing as he's not playing. So that's something to sort of, again, keep your eye on if you're watching Venezuela play and Copa America.
Yeah, and if you're following his Instagram page, a lot of ice baths.
Yeah.
So if that's your thing, Rolf Felcher in the ice bath, give him a follow. Or give me a follow.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I'll lead you there.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And then Jonathan Dos Santos, he's still playing with what seems to be a right foot injury, right heel injury of some sort. However he started in Mexico's last game.
Speaking of ice baths, there's another guy covered in ice after each game.
I don't know. This is one of the reasons that I could never, ever in my entire life be a professional athlete. You were not getting me in an ice bath. It's not happening. That's too cold. I don't need that. I don't need that at all. If we're going to go to rumors right now, a rumor that doesn't necessarily involve the LA Galaxy anymore, but one that is certain to eventually cause waves if it indeed does happen. Giovanni Dos Santos being linked with Club America. He is technically owned by Major League Soccer right now, as all players technically are.
Yeah, but if you saw the salary report, that was one of the highest paid players, technically not on a team, which is insane.
Yeah, $6.5 million. Yeah. So it looks like that MLS is probably negotiating a transfer fee for that. MLS, I then believe, pockets that fee. The Galaxy don't get any of it.
It's bought out. It's done. Which is interesting, just the fact that it's Club America, because that was one of the rumored clubs, when he was first bought out. Why didn't that move happen sooner with games going on? So obviously there's some heavy negotiations going on.
Yeah, it still seems right now, at least as far as I can tell, that Giovanni Dos Santos, and this seems like it's at least semi-real. We'll see whether or not that actually happens.
I was going to say, once he gets sold, can we stop? Can we move on from this? From this chapter in our lives?
I was going to say we will. Jonathan Dos Santos, I believe, even gave some quotes sort of saying that Club America's, the best team in the world or whatever. Blah,
well,
blah.
That was a while ago, right? Or is this recent?
I think it was more recent.
Okay.
I saw it in passing. I did refuse to click on it. I was sort of like,
we've been down this road before.
I'm not going to go there. But anyway, just in case you're watching, sort of those rumors. The Pavone rumors have gotten a lot quieter. Yeah. I'll tell you, everything's sort of quiet right now in rumor land because people are playing in tournaments and doing that stuff, and just they don't want to be bothered with it right now. So I think that after these tournaments conclude in July, the beginning of July, sort of that first.
And once
couple
the window
weeks,
right now, there's no window open to make it happen. So once that window's open, then you're gonna start hearing a lot.
It's gonna stop. You're starting to see some pickup in Europe now. now. There's some people moving around. There's agents going around while players
and
are
planting
gone.
seeds probably because you're hearing that with this team's looking at him, this team's making a bid. So what's real? What's the agents trying to ramp up a price?
Well,
that's something going on.
An interesting little. If we're recording this live, and most of you are probably going to listen to this on the podcast, but for the ones that you are listening live as it's going right now, San Jose actually scored on LAFC 1-0 right now. So
up is down, down is up.
That's how it's the Open Cup, baby.
Deep in the depths.
That's the Open Cup. The LA Galaxy, though, getting ready to return to MLS play. Now, it's really stupid that they're deciding to play. I'll be honest, it's really stupid that the international break is now over now, and it didn't start why didn't you just
look at Costa Rica? They have one game. USA has one game under their belt, and then now MLS play is resuming. So, I didn't realize that. I saw it makes sense. They're doing the international break, because of tournaments going on, but the tournaments are really getting started maybe last week, but they were off 2 weeks before that. So it is a little bit curious, the timing of it, but if you had the break later, then that would make the second half of the season even more condensed than it already is. So I can see the logic behind it, but it seemed like they did the international break for the friendlies leading up to the tournament, not to the actual tournament.
Where was MLS's head in all of this, though? I mean, you look at the condensed schedule, it can't get more condensed.
Yeah. Well, and I think
you would have had to take weeks out for it to get more condensed. It just would have been condensed leading up to it and then leading out of it, just like it is right now.
It is right now. It's the same. It's pick your poison. Where do you want to have your condensed schedule? And it seems to me this decision was made in November, December.
Yeah.
So make decisions in November for things that are going to affect you. 3 months out, 4 months out, 6 months out. Now they'll have a full year to kind of maybe have a full lead time on planning a schedule. You would hope that these are professionals who know how to figure things out. But right now it just seemed like because of the short notice, they just crammed it in and fit that square peg in the round hole.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. If we go ahead and look at some of the standings around the league right now, the Eastern Conference is currently being led by the Philadelphia Union, still one of the best wins the Galaxy have had this year. Philadelphia Union at 31 points, 17 games played. You have Montreal Impact, who have been doing a very good job of still winning games despite the fact that Piatti's not playing there anymore. And I was asking if maybe Roman Alessandrini could go to Montreal, and they said, well, they already have one injured designated player. Why would they want to do that?
Too many vowels. I think there's a vowel limit up in Montreal.
There very well could be. DC United sitting in third place in the Eastern Conference. Atlanta United slowly climbing back up in fourth place. You have the New York Red Bulls in fifth. New York City FC in sixth. Then Toronto FC is an opponent of the LA Galaxy coming up on July 4th. Sit in seventh with 19 points. They're better than that 19 points. They're starting to sort of hit a little bit of stride, but they're missing international players.
I was going to say, when it comes that July 4th game, that game may have been scary on a non-Gold Cup year, but with the Gold Cup year, maybe it's not as bad as the Torontos that we've seen beat up on the Galaxy the last couple seasons.
Out in the Western Conference right now, it is LAFC on top with 37 points, really pulled away from everybody in Major League Soccer as they lead in the Supporter Shield as well. The LA Galaxy sitting in second place, 28 points. And you want to know why the LA Galaxy have not played very well? In fact, they have won just twice in their last 7 games. But are still in second place. It's because of the condensed schedule. All right,
because every other team
is hitting it as well. Outside of basically LAFC, who is still sort of running away with things. That's how it goes. Seattle Sounders in third place with 26 points. Houston Dynamo is sort of the sleeper on all this still. 1.85 points per game. They've only played 13 games. They're going to have a ridiculous schedule.
3 games in hand. So that's where
no wonder they didn't want to go any further in the Open Cup and get bounced by Minnesota.
Yeah, I would have liked to see their schedule. But Houston Dynamo is the wild card here because to me, I think Seattle is a team that's probably better than the Galaxy. Houston, I don't know because we need to see where those games play out, but I think the Galaxy could land anywhere between 3rd and 5th place by the time this all shakes out at the end of the year.
Craziness actually is that there's another team that has a whole bunch of games in hand at the very bottom of the Western Conference and the Portland Timbers.
And I think they're going to climb out of it.
Yeah. 0-1-0 at home because they've only played 1 home game so far this season. So they have a bunch of home games, but a very busy schedule. If you looked at their schedule coming up, they get a bunch of home games, which is going to help them.
Yes.
But it's like weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek.
And they just won in the U.S. Open Cup. So
they have to play again.
You're going to add those games to it travel.
They weren't very smart, were they? Anyway,
played yourself, Portland.
Portland Timbers there. Colorado Rapids sit at the bottom there as well whenever you look at it. I forgot to mention in that Eastern Conference, of course, the very last team in the Eastern Conference, FC Cincinnati.
We're getting there.
Yeah, we're rocking and rolling on it. Yeah. But FC Cincinnati with 11 points so far, just 2-3-1 at home, 1-8-1 on the road. So we'll be discussing that here in just a matter matter of minutes to sort of get you ready for that particular game. So it'll be an interesting one. I at least think it's going to be an interesting one. I don't know how interesting it's going to end up being. But
I think given the midweek game, that's what's adding the interest to it, is you're going to see how do they bounce back, how short is the memory, who's going to start, who's going to play, how's turf going to be a factor. There are a lot of storylines here that are going to make it interesting.
So yeah, that's sort of where we sit right now, and where the LA Galaxy sit. The rumors, again, pretty quiet. The Pavone rumors is still the biggest one out there. I still think that there's a reasonable chance that one could still get done, by the way, if you're playing along at home. But I have no information that has told me that it's advanced any further than really what Guillermo Barros Schelotto commented on, a couple weeks ago, which is, yes, he likes the player, but it's up to the front office to sort of make that deal happen, and he doesn't think that anybody's reached out yet. So we'll see if that'll be there. I think it's going to be interesting, though, because I've seen a lot of comments, and a lot of people have sort of commented that, once Guillermo goes and gets all his players, this is going to be a different team. But I'm going to tell you right now that with the Galaxy already holding 10 international slots,
there you go. That's what I was going to jump into.
They have to pick a whole bunch of American players, or domestic players, I should say.
I was going to say, in
order to make that happen.
Now that Bruce is in New England, who knows how many international spots are going to be for sale there. So, yes, I understand where people are saying, well, once Guillermo brings in his guys, then we're going to get to see his system at play. But his guys are all from Argentina, and you can't have a full squad of Argentine players. So you're going to need to bring in some domestic. Thank you.
Yeah,
domestic. You used deluge. I can't think domestic. So
I'm winning.
I'm definitely
so
losing points here.
Okay, good.
But yeah, he's going to need to figure out, or whoever's scouting, whoever's helping him out, is going to need to help him find some domestic talent to add to his key pieces. Yeah, he might bring in his marquee guys. If Pavone is going to be someone who he creates a system around, I can get that. But you're going to need players to support that.
It's interesting offseason ahead for the LA Galaxy. An interesting transfer window, quite honestly. When you look at it, they have no room to bring in any more international players without moving an international player or acquiring another international slot. Bruce Arena probably is going to hold on to international slots over at New England anymore, so you can't just shop there.
And at this point, it's also to spite the Galaxy.
Can I also tell you that Orlando City beat New England Revolution in the U.S. Open Cup, once again proving that Bruce Arena doesn't take the Open Cup seriously?
He's still going strong. Streak alive. Streak intact, Bruce.
It'll be again. It's just going to be. There's a lot of players that I think people just assume are gone. Guys like Perry Kitchen, who I think people assume they're gone, and you're sort of sitting there going, as a domestic player, certainly not at the price range that he's probably at, but at a little bit of a discount there. Does that make sense?
And who else is offering? So that's a factor as well. Yeah. How good is his agent? Is his agent going around saying, got hearts? It's MLS. They want him back.
It's MLS. I mean, they basically have Perry Kitchen in a stranglehold in terms of where he can go. So the Galaxy sort of get to control that and whether or not they'll pick up options. I mean, Jorgen Schelvik is one of those guys who you're like, he's not back. That one I at least agree with. I'm like, okay, unless you can get Jorgen for like $150,000, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, yeah, does this back dues, retro
exactly.
pay here.
Exactly. Yeah. However you can do that. But I mean, there's players out there. Rolf Felcher is a player that maybe you don't see next year. It's going to be
international spot. Both of the Schelvik and Felcher are international spots
that you'll be able to open.
Yeah, and if you're thinking Araujo, you're thinking Traore.
Yep.
Maybe these are guys who you're grooming to take those spots long term. Felcher is someone who I'm higher on him than maybe the average person, but I can see a world, with what they're paying him, that they move on from Felcher going next season.
Yeah, you could see that for sure. No, I agree with you. Traore is also international.
Yeah.
And he already takes up a spot. So, what are you trying to do?
But I'm saying it's one less.
Yeah.
And you have someone going into that position.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Whatever.
The listeners know, I don't talk down to them like you do. So they're on my side.
Everybody always likes it. Although there's some shade being thrown at your current state right now.
Oh.
The shaved,
the lack of beard.
Yes, the lack of
they don't
did
like
you have
it?
to go to court? That's the only reason I could think.
The facial recognition here at COG Studios, I had a hard time getting in.
Yeah, I was going to say. So you had to get me to buzz you in.
It's summer, you need to freshen up.
What'd your kids say?
They liked it. They wanted me to shave it.
Your kids,
my wife was not happy, but the kids loved it.
Yeah, there's a good idea. Make your wife angry about that. Yeah, that's good.
She's already angry at me.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Moving on. We're getting too serious here.
All right. Let's get ready for the game against FC Cincinnati. I didn't ask. Are you prepared? Are you not prepared?
Oh, I'm always prepared.
Oh, you're always prepared.
I'm prepared. I was Googling, people who were born in Cincinnati. I had a whole thing ready to go. I'm always ready.
I didn't know. Nobody told me. I just
Are
run
we
the show.
starting with it?
Yeah, you have to.
Of course.
The LA Galaxy getting ready to play FC Cincinnati. So I guess I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to let you do your thing, and you can go do your thing. So enjoy.
This Saturday, Cincinnati, Ohio, birthplace of Charles Manson, Cat Williams, and all 4 members of 90s boy band sensation 98 Degrees, will play host to your LA Galaxy. The LA Galaxy will resume MLS play at Nippert Stadium at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. And much like the brothers Drew and Nick Lachey, Gustavo and Guillermo Barros Schelotto are asking them to give you just one night, una noche, to give you the time of your life. Zlatan will be back in the lineup to help you forget about the 4-0 drubbing out of the U.S. Open Cup and to get the Galaxy back in the win column. Head on down to your local viewing party and catch some hot summer soccer because MLS is back, baby.
My MLS is back.
A little 98 Degrees reference.
You're
a 98 Degrees guy, right?
I paid no attention after the 98 Degrees. I was sort of spinning around there. I have been. I mean, I can, as we've discussed many times on this show, my taste in music is pretty atrocious. So basically, if you think pop, I'm probably into it.
You're on board. So I can picture you throwing that on a playlist.
Yeah, of course.
Give me just one night. In
on a mixtape.
Una noche.
On a mixtape.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day.
That song
on a mixed
rips.
CD. I wasn't old enough.
Little
mixed
Napster.
CD. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, make the CD. Yeah,
had to get the CD burner.
Oh yeah.
All
Very
that stuff.
special mix.
Yes. All right. Good. I'm glad we got through there.
Like
all
I
right.
said, always ready.
LA Galaxy taking on FC Cincinnati, 4:30 p.m. on June 20th. That's a 7:30 Eastern time kickoff, by the way. And by the way, just in case you wanted to know, because I wanted to know and I looked it up, Ohio is in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
They feel way west to be east, but they're east.
It has to start somewhere.
That's right. So 7:30 Eastern time is the kickoff. 4:30 Pacific time. That's Saturday. Games played at Nippert Stadium. I remind you, that's a turf field. Zlatan Ibrahimovic is expected to play. This is probably the worst field in Major League Soccer now.
It's a college football field. That's the problem. It's not a soccer field. It's a football field.
The old one was the old worst field was where Minnesota United used to play.
Which, again, college football field.
Right. So now they have their own place. They have grass. So they've been excommunicated from that particular bad football list. New England, Seattle, Portland's still
football stadium. Stadium.
Portland.
Baseball stadium.
Baseball stadium.
I think we're seeing a theme here.
We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But anyway, it's on turf. It's not great. But Zlatan Ibrahimovic most likely going to start this game. That's at least everything that we've been told so far. The record with FC Cincinnati 3-11-2. The first time ever the LA Galaxy and FC Cincinnati will face off against each other. So 0-0 whenever you look at that.
I like our history here. I like our odds.
With the streaks, as far as what we look, the Galaxy have won twice in the last 7 games, which is not great.
Yeah.
But whenever you look at FC Cincinnati, they've won once in their last 10 games, and those are all MLS games whenever we're looking at that.
I just looked at their last 5 and said 1 in their last 5, but one in their last 10. That's not great either.
Yeah, if you go to the form guide, there's a lot of red on that. So it's not great. The last win for FC Cincinnati was 5-11 versus Montreal. That was a 2-1 win. Their last loss, this one's crazy. I literally cannot wrap my head around this one, but it is there. Their last loss was a 5-2 loss at New York City. Again, all in league play. Now, the interesting thing is here that they lost 5-2, and they didn't score a single goal. New York City had 2 own goals in that game in order to get Cincinnati on the board. It's
almost impressive.
It is.
Yeah, 7 goals, and you couldn't get one.
No,
not even on an own
goal.
Not
not a single game. Didn't happen. Was never going to happen. But that type of thing. But yeah, it was just it's again one of the interesting things. But the MLS actually put out something which is just crazy. I don't even know where they come up with this, but they put out this list of things, and I was like, okay, so they put out a list of all the players to ever score a goal and an own goal in the same game.
Oh, nice. That's a good list.
There was, from what I can tell, let me scan it one more time. There is only one LA Galaxy player on this list.
Can I make a guess?
You can make a guess.
It's our second leading goal scorer now. Is it Daniel Stairs?
No, it's not this year. It's all time. But you thought it was Stairs.
Yeah, I know he's scored an own goal in the past, and he has a knack for scoring goals. It wouldn't surprise me if he was on that list.
You have to go back to 2010 in order for this to actually to happen. Edson Buttle.
Oh, Edson Buttle with an own goal.
Yeah, against Colorado, LA versus Colorado. And that's when Edson Buttle had a goal and scored an own goal in the same game. You would have to go back to another game that was in 2017 where Christian Ramirez from Minnesota did that to the LA Galaxy.
Yep.
He scored a goal and scored an own goal. So he did that as well. I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to throw that in there.
Fun facts.
Yeah, MLS comes up with them every once in a while. It's nice to get that email and sort of, be able to peruse through it to see what kind of crazy crazy stuff they've been looking at.
That is a very obscure stat.
It is, absolutely. We've sort of taken a look at, where the LA Galaxy get goals, and it's Zlatan Ibrahimovic, I think, has had a hand in each of the last 3 goals that the LA Galaxy have scored. He has 11 goals. Whenever you look at assists, it's Pontius, Ibrahimovic, and Polenta, each with 3 assists. Whenever you're looking at who they're going to play on Saturday, you look at Zlatan as being the best player for the LA Galaxy on the field, which is a good thing. Now, you go over to Cincinnati. You have Darren Maddox, Akuta Mane, and Alan Cruz, all leaders with 2 goals.
And you have Darren Maddox gone, Gold Cup.
That's
and
right.
Alan Cruz gone Gold Cup.
So FC Cincinnati is in trouble there.
Yeah.
There's 4 guys with 2 assists. I mean, you're not.
And one of them is no longer with the team.
I was going to say,
Kenny Saif no longer with the team.
No longer with the team. His loan actually was up, so he went back to, I think, Israel is where he was on loan from, a team from Israel. I know. I every once in a while I pay attention with how this stuff goes.
Yeah, but it is interesting. Again, the stat sheet for FC Cincinnati not exactly flying off the charts here, and then the ones that are on the stat sheet are not with the team. So. Again, we've done this dance before with Colorado and with New England, where you play these horrible teams and how the Galaxy should perform. So it's just a matter of making it all click, putting it all together. Zlatan, should be able to bag some goals. Our second leading goal scorer, Daniel Stairs, maybe gets on the action, and maybe some guys who haven't been on the score sheet quite a bit get in there. Fabio Alvarez finally gets his. He's already scored in MLS, but he adds to his tally. So. The goals are there to be had, especially with some key defenders missing for FC Cincinnati, and then some of their attacking. I was not going to call it firepower, but some of their pieces missing. This should be a victory for the LA Galaxy, especially given that GBS prioritized it.
All right, so whenever you look at, I mean, that's where it is. And that was one of the arguments probably against resting or not resting guys, and then trying to take FC Cincinnati lightly.
Who is going to beat us? Who from Cincinnati? If they brought all 4 members of 98 Degrees, put them on the back line. I think they might give us a better shot, because there's the brothers, the handsome one, and then the other guy.
I forget who it was. I forget which women's team, or maybe it wasn't a women's team, maybe it was a men's team, the Gold Cup, but somebody said, this particular team has 2 of the best goalkeepers in the tournament, and unfortunately they can't play them both at the same time. It's one of those.
It'd be a fun exercise.
That's how it might go for Cincinnati. This is a game the Galaxy should win. I'll tell you that right now it is expected to be a sellout, and that'll be only their second sellout of the year outside of their very first MLS game. Mm-hmm. More than 31,000 tickets already sold. Zlatan effect.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder why that is.
What could it possibly be?
Yeah, why are they selling out a game against Galaxy? That's odd.
By the way, I did actually put out that it was like a Zlatan effect, and I had somebody from Cincinnati go, "No, we always play." I'm like, "No, you don't. They just released it. The Business Journal in Cincinnati said, "No, you don't."
It's
and
okay.
so yeah, it was
okay. FC Cincinnati.
It's you'll be fine.
Cute.
You'll be fine. No, I mean, you have Adi who plays up front in this particular one. You're trying to sort of look at the difference between the 2 lineups and the Open Cup loss, and they actually did play a bunch of starters in that Open Cup loss.
And part of that is out of necessity, because they have players gone on international duty. And again, roster depth for them. Who else do they have? Who else are they going to play? So the players that you saw play in their Open Cup match, you'll definitely be seeing them again. Someone like Adi is someone that sticks out. In years past, when he played for Portland, came and gave the Galaxy headaches, but he's dealing with some other stuff. Getting into form for him might be difficult. So Lama's another guy that's when his time with FC Dallas, gave the Galaxy some trouble. So those are the players who you'd maybe look out for, but they haven't exactly been lighting it up for FC Cincinnati.
Nobody really seems to have. I was going to say, I think the goal differential is minus 19 for FC Cincinnati. Yes, it is. 14 goals scored, 33 goals against. I'll tell you this, though. If you look at the saves that Spencer Ritchie has had to make so far.
Spencer Ritchie is a great name.
It is. It seems like he should be like, a singer and
or
not
like
a soccer
DJ.
player. Yeah, that works. Yeah, that works.
Drive Time with Spencer Ritchie.
So that's so he's like a shock jock, a Drive Time with Spencer Ritchie. That's nice. Whenever you say Richie Spencer, could it also be his name? So you could go reverse the name and still name. Work. Yeah. The double first names, but not like the double last names, maybe in this particular case. He has 2 shutouts on the year, 39 saves, 67 shots faced. He hasn't played all the games, but David Bingham on the other side, 5 shutouts, 56 saves, 77 shots faced. So we'll see how good the LA Galaxy do against a team they very well should run off the field, even with the absences. In my mind, there's not a whole bunch of real big changes that you need to make. I mean, you're going to Boateng and Pontius have to start. Those are sort of mandatory because you don't have it. Joe Corona, Perry Kitchen are going to start.
You're going to see Fabio back in there.
You're going to see Fabio Alvarez.
I think because Traore played, you're probably going to see Shelvik out on the side.
Shelvik out on the left side. You're going to see Araujo on the right side, probably.
Rodney played this one, so you'll probably see Araujo back on the right. Polenta and Stairs back in the middle. with Pipo gone. So I think this is a pretty close to A lineup. With of course Jonathan being the key
no
piece that's
Jonathan,
missing. Yeah.
no Giancarlo Gonzalez, no Rolf Felcher, and then
But we've survived without them in the past. So not Jonah, but
yeah, that's the big thing.
That's the engine. Are Corona and Kitchen going to be able to get it done for you?
And I think they can. I think that Perry Kitchen is a better anchor whenever he has somebody like Corona to be able to play off of. Also, that you have somebody like Fabio Alvarez who's able to take up and hold possession in that midfield.
And is going to draw defenders his way, especially with Zlatan being the focal point. You need someone who's going to distract a little bit and make the other team pay a little bit.
And Zlatan hasn't played since June 2nd,
He's going to be hungry.
right?
The Lion will be hungry.
It should be interesting.
Wait, isn't Cincinnati? Are they the Lions?
Wait, no, he didn't play because he was suspended in that game, wasn't he? He didn't come back against New England?
No, he played He scored the bicycle against New England.
Oh, that's right. It was 2-1.
2-1.
I remember now.
Yeah.
It was so long ago.
It feels
like forever
and
ago.
It was a depressing night. Yeah.
It wasn't a good night for the Galaxy. All right. So that's where it is. LA Galaxy facing off against FC Cincinnati coming up again on Saturday, June 22nd, a 4:30 p.m. kickoff time. This game can be found on Spectrum Sportsnet. Do not come crying to me whenever it's blocked out on ESPN Plus.
They will.
I don't care. Don't come crying to me when the Spectrum Sportsnet app doesn't work, because it usually doesn't work. So all those things, be prepared. Go watch it at a watch party. Angel City Brigade has a bunch of watch parties that they still have there right now. So you can find that and go do that.
I think one of the watch parties is actually at Dignity Health Sports Park.
Is it?
Yeah, I think one of them might be in the tailgate area Lars.
That's not horrible.
Yeah, well, you could do a lot worse.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want the 538 odds?
Yep, 538. And then your predictions. Go for it.
So 538 has FC Cincinnati 39% chance to win, LA Galaxy 37% chance to win. So pretty close, basically a coin flip, and then a draw 24%. So they're still favoring Cincinnati. And part of that just has to be because
they're the home team.
They're the home team.
Yeah.
I looked at the schedule around. There's only one other team that the away team has higher odds. So they're giving the Galaxy, as far as all the away teams playing, that's on board there.
I'm going to argue one thing that you said. If they get a draw in Cincinnati, it's a disaster. A point there is fine. It's on the road. It's on turf. Anything. I know. You
threw this game away to get points to win.
You threw the game away because the schedule is atrocious. You threw it away to be smarter about how you're going to play the rest of this.
Against a last place team, you couldn't muster more than 1 point.
The Galaxy against Colorado. The Galaxy against New England.
At home. Yeah.
Go on the road.
Worse. That's worse.
This is one of those where you sit there and go, if you're betting this game, you bet the Galaxy to win. That's
where you'd probably get your return.
And I would bet the schedule. We've talked about betting the schedule before. Bet the schedule on this one because the Galaxy rested a whole bunch of people and Cincinnati didn't.
Yeah, fewer players that they rested.
Bet the schedule because that's what we've been seeing in Major League Soccer is that the teams with the shorter rest and who had the players are losing the home games that they should be winning. And that's why you've seen the downtick in home team percentage winning and home team points. That's all. That'll make sense. So again, I don't know why I'm giving betting advice on this. It's not like people bet, but I'm just telling you that feels like that's the right place.
Yeah.
So that's how it goes. All right, your prediction.
My prediction:
LA Galaxy 27.
A draw, because a draw would be a disaster. It's going to be a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw for sure. Okay,
you just know it's going to turn out. I've seen this movie before. I know how it's going to end.
Galaxy win. 3-1.
Okay.
3-1. And
again, I've just been wrong every time I've been on here, so I figure I'd mix it up.
That's fine.
The reverse jinx it.
The key to this particular game, in my opinion, is the Galaxy scoring first.
Yep.
And that's, by the way, that has been their key all year long. When they score first, they have a great record. So scoring first is most important. They don't want Cincinnati to think they're in this game, and you want to pull Cincinnati out of whatever game plan they're trying to play.
Well, to me, furthering the point than scoring first, I think it's putting it away in the first half, much like Portland did to them, where they were up 3 goals. The game was over at halftime. So I think if the Galaxy can get more than 1 goal in the first half, then they win the game.
Yeah, and FC Cincinnati seems like they're fragile mentally,
yes.
And so if you can score
get
some
one
goals,
or two,
they'll
if you get one, then the other 2 or 3 will come.
It won't matter if there's 70,000 people there. It's not going to
Well,
help.
if anything, that fuels Zlatan even more.
Yeah.
We've seen that movie play out.
But the turf, it's going to be ugly. It's not going to be one of those games where you're going to sit there and say, oh, look, it's so pretty.
Yeah, this is not we've been waiting for that 4-5-0. This is not going to be that game, but... they should.
It's totally going to be
You're
that
changing
game,
my mind.
right? I know. He's like, let me rescind the 1-1 draw. I don't want people to be angry
I'm going with
me.
1-1.
All right, that's fine.
Sticking to it.
That's fine. I got 3-1.
Guaranteed to be wrong.
I got 3-1. We'll see how that goes and how that plays out. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I think we've covered everything. We've got everything for the most part. We got everybody ready for FC Cincinnati. That was our goal. I got to yell at people in the first half.
We had our therapy session for the U.S. Open Cup. We've moved past it, taking deep breaths.
I hope everybody feels better after that.
Yeah. Well, it's done. It's past. It's behind us.
I mean, I love all the people who listen to us. I don't know.
Okay,
I feel like
they turned off. We're an hour and 8 minutes in. Yeah, they're long gone. gone.
They don't care after I
them.
yelled and screamed at everybody. I do love everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's great, but at the same time, let's be realistic. I think
Yes.
is always my goal on
Hard
the show.
truths. That's what we're here to dish out.
It's not comfortable sometimes, you know. It's like getting a tattoo on the ribs, so I've heard. It's very uncomfortable. I don't have one.
That is probably the strangest analogy we've given. We're ready to call it a night, folks.
All right, why don't you tell people where they can find you? We will get on out of here.
You can find my Twitter name tattooed on my ribs at GIS Hammer. You could also listen to me on the Guys in Shorts podcast. You can find them at Guys in Shorts Pod. And if you want to see everyone taking an ice bath on Instagram, you can follow me at The Professional Foul, which is at Galaxy Pro Foul. That's Galaxy PROFOUL.
All right, if you're looking for me on Twitter, it's at Guesman, JGUESMAN, and of course at Galaxy Podcast. Head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com where you can find all of our written articles, including a preview for this FC Cincinnati game as soon as I actually write it on Friday. We'll get that up for you so that way you can start perusing that. Again, the Galaxy play on Saturday, so that's what you'll be looking for. Lots of great stuff up at the website. Go do that. And by the way, if you haven't gone and supported Temecula FC as they try to sell out their final game in order to keep that team afloat, TemeculaFC.com gets you there. All right, that's all we got. For Eric, the Portuguese Hammer Vieira, I'm Josh Guesman. You've been listening to Corner of the Galaxy on cornerofthegalaxy.com. Have a great one, everybody.
You've been listening to the Corner of the Galaxy podcast on cornerofthegalaxy.com. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Galaxy Podcast. And be sure to check out and subscribe to iTunes, Stitcher, and Facebook by searching for Corner of the Galaxy. And for all of your independent LA Galaxy news, discussion, and entertainment, including this podcast, head on over to cornerofthegalaxy.com. Fans, thanks for listening. We ask that you be kind and courteous to your neighbors as you leave the podcast. We thank you for joining us and look forward to seeing you again. Until then, I'm Michael Araujo, and on behalf of the entire Corner of the Galaxy crew, goodbye, everybody.